Welcome to the Forever Better Academy podcast, where you will be given the principles, tools, and techniques to reach the next stage on your journey of self-mastery. Who could you become? I'm your host, Wade Vincent. You are obligated to take your talent to its fullest potential. Thank you for being here, guys. My name is Wade Vincent, and you are with me on an episode of the Forever Better Academy podcast. Today, we're going to dive into talent without work is wasted. Okay, so every single one of us has a talent, and that talent can be developed, right? It calls us right now, and is so heavily aligned with your purpose, right? Your meaning of life, right? And a lot of us all of us go through a journey of discovery. Who are we? What are we good at? What can we bring to the table, right? Now, I am most certainly convinced that the two are so closely aligned, talent and purpose. Once you uncover your talent and align with and accept and lean in and grow towards that talent, that naturally you feel more connected to your sense of purpose. And I believe that's why we all ultimately go through those years, sometimes decades of questioning and understanding, who am I and why am I here? Right? So that's what we're going to dive into today. I feel it's an important one to discuss because especially when I began my journey, really trying to find myself and who I was and the next logical steps in my journey of self-discovery and self-improvement, it very much centered around understanding why I'm here and what I want to do while I am here, right? So, as I say, all of us have a talent. Right now, genetically, we all have strengths and weaknesses, right? And you know, a lot of that plays into capabilities, right? And ultimately, what our potential talent can be, or what sort of space that talent resides in, right? If you think about, as an example, and I always use sporting examples because, you know, I was an athletic kid and I enjoy sport and the competition and the fun and the challenge of it. And it seems like a natural space for me to talk in, right? So if you think about, like, as an example, right? When I was a kid, I was infatuated with Michael Jordan. Like pretty much every child globally in that sort of early to mid 90s stage, everyone loved it. Like I remember just about every kid I interacted with or had any sort of discussions with, every kid knew Jordan and every kid had basketball cards and a pair of Jordan shoes or at least wanted those things, right? Now, like many kids in that point, I was like captivated. And I think that's the real first key. That's that first little signal that you need to identify to understand your talent, right? And it's got to grab you, right? As I say, it calls to us and we need to listen for it. And when I watched Michael Jordan soar through the air and the athletic prowess and just the time that he would float, and I was like, yeah, that's my thing. I wanna play professional basketball. Right, and I look at it now. It's funny as I you know, I was just convinced that's what I'm going to do, and I put everything into it. Right, all my energy was channeled into playing basketball and watching games and learning about the league and the players and their stats and just, you know, trying to mimic those moves. And that was my passion at the time when I was in the sort of, I don't know, just prior to my teen years and then into that sort of period of my life. And, you know, as I say, it's funny, I look at it now and I realize the talent and what you're built for, shall we say, plays a big part. That combination, right? Like ultimately, I'm 5'10", 5'11" on a good day, right? So 175-ish centimeters tall, right? I can jump reasonably high. Like, I'm not gonna win a dunk competition. I'm not really cut out for it, right? Like if I go to games sometimes here in Australia, and you can see that the build of the man is a different kind of athlete, right? Like I really, even with all the best intent in the world and all the practice in the world, it's a lot harder for someone of my stature and sort of build and ability to become an NBA player, right? Now, it's not to say it's not possible. I look at dudes from that era like Spud Webb, who was like 5'7", right? Who could dunk and was just incredible vertical leap, right? But my point is, it's so crucial to find what calls to you, but you also have to understand where your strengths and weaknesses lie, right? Because ultimately it's not really ever a weakness. It's really just that it might not align with what your ambition or your intention is, right? So if you think about my sort of, as I say, my height, my build, my stature, and ability, like I can't palm a basketball, right? And imagine me going up against like an African American dude who's like is 6'8" with hands bigger than my head and can virtually leap over my shoulders. Like I'm not positioned well for that goal, right? So that slowly but surely, I come to terms with that and learn and understand that that's not my lane, right? So my ambitions change and ideas change and ultimately trying to find that purpose, right? Now, when you do find that thing that you're sort of built for or genetically gifted to approach, right? Let's say some of the people that I work with now are like fantastic minds, brilliant people, incredible problem solvers, critical thinkers. That's their strength, right? They're not gonna play in the NBA, right? That's a different alignment. Everyone has our own gifts and our talents, right? So there's no, as I say, I don't see it as a weakness unless we're aligning ourselves with the wrong talent. Ambition and talent need to align, right? So if we're looking to find our thing, the key is understanding what are we good at. What, like, as much as I say I wanted to be an NBA player, like I wasn't even an exceptional basketball player. Like I was okay, but I was misaligned, right? So all of us know, even if we tell ourselves otherwise or don't really admit it to ourselves, when we stop and listen and really think about it and give it the attention that it deserves, all of us to some capacity know what we're good at or what we're better at, right? Like if you ask anyone and allow them the time to consider the question and think through it, most people will be able to tell you, I'm really good with numbers, or I'm really good at captivating an audience, or I really love baking, right? I just have a feel for ingredients and just understanding ratios. It's just my thing. I get it, right? And that's key, right? To find our thing, we need to find what we've been given, that little edge, that slight gift or ability that leads us to continue to pursue that path and follow on and develop it, right? And I honestly believe most of us, when we, if not all of us, when we're better at something or something is a strength that we possess, generally most people don't dislike it, right? Like as an example, anything that we feel that we're a little bit better at than someone else, or we're naturally inclined to do, or we're a little bit a little bit better, or really good at doing one thing, we generally like it, right? Like, how many of you have a talent or something that um, that you might like doing because you're good at it? Like, how many of you hate doing something you're good at? Right? It doesn't kind of make sense. If you're good at something, you generally feel pretty proud about it and confident, right? And it's the kind of thing that you want to continue to do, right? Like when and most certainly, as I will get into, those talents can be developed, right? So once I'd sort of gone through my NBA, basketball phase, as I got older and got into like the hip hop world, and got into graffiti, I loved it. Just the artistic expression, and I was reasonably good at drawing things, and it just had like a natural inclination of an artistic endeavor, and that can be applied in so many ways, right? Like, if you think about, I could sit for hours and hours drawing and trying to create photorealism, and structuring letters and combinations, and color patterns and palettes, and the interest and joy that I got from that led me to develop my talent, and continue to do it because I enjoyed it, right? And that's a crucial thing, right? We've got to enjoy this. Like, ultimately, if you don't enjoy it, it's probably not your lane, right? Like, so, we often start, I guess, with a pre-existing structure in the world. Right now, the world is going to make you, or at least attempt to make you, fit where it thinks that you belong. It's neither good nor bad, right? It's a system, right? It can be approached in many different ways. There is, some people need that, and it's immensely beneficial. And if it didn't work to some extent, it wouldn't be the structure of our society, right? So the system is in play because system is scalable, right? And then, like I was myself in my younger years, the whole angst, youth, and the teenage energy, and coming into your own manhood, and your turn to give to the world, right? I just had this resistance of authority and fight the system, and very much was listening to Rage Against the Machine, and all the rap music at the time. Like, it's almost like a rite of passage, right? I think that every young man has to be frustrated to think, whether truthfully or naively, that they can do better. And that's what drives us forward as a society, right? You have to have that belief that you can do a better job, right? And that is, underlying the purpose and talent conversation, right? So, as I say, with society has that structure in place to make you fit within the box, right? The safety of the system within the realm of the known. And most certainly, you can live in that space, but anyone who wants to do something outside of the norm, or something great and impactful, and really push the boundaries, especially if your talent and your purpose is something much bigger, you need to challenge yourself outside of that space, right? So the first thing is understanding that you're going to come up against resistance. Right? When you're developing your talent, some people might not understand, and no one is going to understand it like you are, because it's your talent, it's your purpose, your sense of belonging, your reason for being, right? And you have to take that to the world and show them why it matters, and give that to others, right? Now, the inverse of that is we often we often start by doubting our own talents and abilities, right? Especially when they're newfound, and they haven't yet been developed, and we we are excited by the potential and the possibility that what we've uncovered that we're good at may be something, right? There's something here. I feel it calling me. That's the moment you cannot let others put you off, because the universe will test you and give you these challenges to see how serious you are. And you have to show that your intent is unwavering, because if you do, the universe will provide you the tools you need to develop that talent. Resistance isn't a problem. Resistance is a question. How serious are you? How obsessed are you? What does this really mean to you? Right? It's just a natural part of the process and the rhythm of the universe, right? So we often start with that doubt and the not realizing that the talent is almost like a marker, right? It's an indicator that points us in the right direction. And this is why I say when we learn to identify what our thing is, what things we are good at that can sort of nudge us in the right direction, down that right path. Now, we all have an obligation to develop that talent, our own unique talents, to the fullest potential. And every single one of us has a unique journey. If you think of every different stimulus or interaction or experience we go through that shapes us, no one else has the identical experience. So no one else can be better positioned than you to develop and enhance your God-given talents. Every one of us develops something due to the experiences we go through, right? Now, none of us are born knowing what it is. And that's the beautiful thing. And this is where it comes into that conversation of nature versus nurture, right? If you think some of the nature is, as I said, that the genetic advantage, or whatever it is that you've been built with to provide you with your edge, right? Your little advantage. All of us have a strength that helps us navigate, right? That's our point. That's our purpose. That's our the thread to unravel, if you will, right? Sometimes it just takes a lot of experience to learn how to develop that talent, beyond the experience of going through many, many different things to determine what you like and what you're good at, because you can't know unless you challenge and test yourself, right? The challenges and obstacles in life are guides and markers and as I say, guide rails for you to determine, what is your path to take. If you are good at writing songs, you can't really know until you write some songs and listen to some music and understand the structure of a song and telling stories and chord progression. You need to experience those things, right? You might have it built into you, but unless you expose yourself to those things, you'll never wake up that talent or let it hear it. You won't hear it, right? So you have to go through that, and some of us find our talents very quickly. There'll be those of you that are watching or listening to this that could tell me, yeah, I knew when I was 4 or 5 years old. I just knew what it was, and I've been doing it ever since. And then there's those of you that are listening to this, like my dad often, jokingly, but often says to me, and he's in his 70s, I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up, right? Like some of us, still trying to figure it out. And that's okay. There's no wrong or right answer, because you're not, when it comes to your talent, you're not competing with anyone else. Like, to develop what you're good at and your strengths and your purpose is yours and yours alone. So there's no worry about what other people are doing, right? Because they can't do what you can do, right? We all have our own gifts, and you've got to go through it, right? And in terms of timing and understanding, and while I think of this too, with the our gifts, it's important, I think, when I truly understood that our talents are not a gift for us, but a gift for others, right? What do we bring to the table? What do we bring to the world? How are we going to make society better for us being here? It gives you a whole different driver and motivation underneath that to get better. Because the true reward comes not from just developing the talent, and most certainly you feel a sense of wonder and achievement and excitement when you're growing and mastering your craft and getting better, and you can see it and you can feel it, and the joy of the journey of improvement. But I think the true value and the reward comes from, or at least when you get to that stage and that level of understanding what your talent really means, is when we're able to fully dive in and develop it to its greatest capacity and potential, because it's for others. And when we realize and focus on that, and seeing the joy that it can bring to others, right? And even the smallest thing, right? If I can take an example of, if you go into the CBD here in Brisbane, there's quite often a man that is there who makes balloon animals, right? Like the sort of, you sometimes see in a fair or a circus or a carnival, something like that, where a guy will take the balloons, the long-shaped sort of sausage balloons, and make something wonderful out of them. And the joy, like ever since my kids were little, every time they'd see him, they'd want a balloon, and the wonder that brings to countless children in the city that will have memories of this man, and he might not even realize the impact his talent is making on the world, right? It doesn't always have to be this giant scale thing like a Elon Musk, let's colonize Mars, right? Your talent is yours, and the joy and wonder it creates for others can be far more immense and wonderful than you even realize, right? So no talent should be discounted or frowned upon, right? We all have a purpose to develop that talent, and that aligns us, right? And the key, which I've often talked about too, is momentum, right? If you're sort of listening to this right now or watching this and you're not sure about what your gift is, what your talents are, and often, there's more than one thing, but if you're going through that now, and at some point every single one of us does, so you're not alone. Try lots of different things. The only way to uncover and expose that underlying strength and the talents that you have, the gifts you've been given, are to do lots of different things and lots of different areas, right? No doubt, as I say, you kind of will have an inkling. You'll know if you really listen and sit down. And it's important whenever doing work like this on ourselves, take time, right? We can take time to plan all these other things in our life, but planning out the direction and structure of our life, not many of us sit down and do this. Take your laptop or your device or a pen and paper and structure it out. Sit down, work it out. You will have an inkling. Write a list. What do I like? What don't I like? If we're going to go to simplest form, right? And then take the list of what do I like, forget about what I don't like, and then what am I good at? What am I not good at? What am I okay at? And just keep refining down through that list, right? And at least it gives you, even if it's just one, maybe 2 or 3 points or a direction to follow, right? That's a start. And then find things with adjacency. So let's say you're into action sports, motorsports, like you love riding quad bikes or motocross dirt bikes, right? But you don't feel like it's necessarily your talent, but you like doing it. Well, find perhaps it's designing the courses that other riders practice on and do stunts on, or perhaps it's developing a better quality dirt bike. Perhaps it's designing the suspension or better wheels, or maybe it's planning out like the team events, or perhaps it's an adjacency where maybe it's another sport beside that you become exposed to, perhaps like wakeboarding, right? There's so many angles, but if you look in that realm, this is the first place to start, in that space of what you're good at and what you like, and then look for things where there's overlap and little crossovers where it's not such a vast jump. But I mean, by all means, there's no rule that says you can't take a complete, 180, flip it, do a sea change. Like if you currently, like I myself, started as a chef, and I love the artistic component of it, and but it wasn't ultimately for me, and I sell software. Like it's a complete different shift, like, but I could give you the story of another episode where there's all these little adjacencies that led me from point A to point B that I never would have imagined, and doesn't make sense until you see those experiences that are unique to my journey that have helped me develop my talents through many different vehicles, channels, lanes, and avenues. And ultimately, I'm here with you guys, and what I really am passionate about is helping other people, teaching through stories, and giving people guidance to make great decisions and utilize tools that have benefited my life so they live a better life, right? And if I'm honest with myself and I look back through all of the experiences, that's been the underlying thing that I've had as a motivation through all of them. And that's the purpose, right? Like you start to realize when all the activities change, what's the constant? And then you start to know. And I mean, like, I'm almost 40 years old. It's taken me a little while too, like deep down, I think I always knew, but it takes time to develop it and really align with it and understand, I'm starting to see this is the time spent in my life, and this is what I do, and this is what I'm good at and what I love doing. And when you get all of those things combined, you find your calling, and 90+% of the friction in your life disappears. I promise you. The clarity and peace, the inner peace and freedom that I feel now compared to 10 years ago, it's night and day. Very different when you feel so lost and frustrated with no understanding or idea of what next, right? And that's why I share this stuff, because I'm not, trying to assume these things. These are things that have impacted and changed my life that I want to give to you guys. And hopefully, even if one single person turns their life around or changes it or improves or feels that this made a difference, then it was all worth it, right? Like I said, the man in the mall with the balloons, right? We don't know how our talent's affecting other people, right? So when you have that thing, right, you've got to go all in on it. When you understand, obviously, and of course, you can't develop your talent without knowing what it is. But when you've committed to it, like you've really taken it on board and committed your life to what your talent is and developing it to its fullest potential so you can gift it to others, everything falls into place. And then you will be amazed at all the energy you can channel into that thing, your thing. You've taken away all the other things that don't matter anymore and focus so much energy, and you'll see such a rapid increase in your talent and your ability and your improvement in that space. And the more that you work on it, you learn to master it. And I feel that's one of the key things in life. If you're looking for a purpose in life, master your craft, understand your talent, commit to it, decide, go all in. Use your life, spend your life getting as good as you possibly can at that thing. And when you do that, you'll be amazed at where it takes you. It's endless. And then it's almost like I feel we all have this underlying memory or a little awareness of it when we're little kids. And I feel like we go through all these experiences and I guess like influences and different things that happen in each one of our lives, ultimately to just come back to the path that we were on at the beginning. It's like we remember. It's like we forget about all the other things that didn't matter. And as I say, who could you become? That's what it's all about. All right, guys, I hope that this episode has been valuable to you guys today. If you are looking for your purpose and talent, start with that list, as I say. What am I good at? What do I like doing? And then look for things in that space, and especially something that can make an impact or help other people that's sought after. You will feel your purpose will come back in order, and you'll be aligned with who you are and what you're doing and why you're here. All right, guys, my name is Wade Vincent. Thank you for being here once again. Every Friday, new episode of the podcast. You can check it on YouTube or any of the streaming services, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Castbox, you name it, it's there. And if it's not on a platform that you like, please let me know and I will do my best to make sure it is there for you. Until then, work hard on yourself, invest in yourself, because it will pay dividends. All right, guys, thanks for being here. Check you later.